Welcome to Wildly Wealthy Life, the show that's all about exploring the different paths to a life of freedom and fulfillment and how that ripples through your personal life, family life, and to the community. Join husband and wife power couple Lee and Kat Hughes as they share people's stories from different backgrounds and lifestyles about what it means to live a life well lived. Tune in and take that first step to becoming the best version of yourself, personally and professionally, here on Wildly Wealthy Life.
To be honest, again, what is enough? There's so many wealthy people out there who feel very, very poor. They have so much money, but they are so scared to death of losing it, right? And then there's so many people out there who have nothing, but they feel like they are the most wealthy people in the entire world. So it's about your perspective. It's about your mindset. It is not about really what you have. Hi, and welcome to episode number 2 of the Wildly Wealthy Life podcast. My name is Kat, and normally I have my husband here with me, and he's also my co-host. His name is Lee. You've met him on first episode of the podcast. And I just wanted to record a special episode of just me because of the situation that we're in right now, which is COVID-19. I think that I have a very unique perspective about it. And I hope that I could speak very well for the people in the entertainment industry, because I am one of those people. So it's just, a lot of times right now, things that we hear are people from the financial industry. And so I just wanted to kind of share my voice on it and my perspective on it. My heart really breaks for all of my friends who are struggling with work right now, like truly, truly breaks for them, because although all of us pretty much across the board in most industries are out of work, except if you are in the health industry or government or police enforcement, for most of us, we're really out of work. And although we're all in the same boat, entertainers are very unique and different and special. And yes, I'm biased, but it's because we're no strangers to this. We've done this our whole life. We've gone in and out of work. Some months are great, some months are not as great, and we're not new to this situation. But because for most of our lives we're already in and out of work, it's really hard for us when all of a sudden everything is shut down and there's literally no possibility out there of work, right? I mean, again, there's always possibilities, but just in the things that we could see right now, it just looks like there's nothing, right? Parks are closed. There's no shows, entertainment venues, everything is just shut down. So anyway, we all know that, so I'm not gonna keep going that direction. I want to share some really practical and applicable tips that we could do at this time. I've done a bit of research on this. There's definitely a ton of things that we could do that can bring in some income during this time. So that is what I would like to share. Also, it is my birthday. I'm recording this a day before my birthday. It's my birthday tomorrow. I'm turning 27 for the 10th time. Anyway, what I'm saying is I'm not saying my age, but I'm up there. I'm pretty close to 40. So really excited about that too, because I actually really love growing older. I do. I just love every year that passes. It's amazing. So anyway, in the Philippine culture, when it's your birthday, you're the one who gives gifts to other people. Literally, when it's your birthday, growing up, you invite all your friends and you feed all your friends. So basically, people benefit from you celebrating your birthday because you're the one who throws parties for them. I moved to America and it's completely different. I moved to America and all of a sudden it's my birthday and wait, what? Everybody wants to buy me dinner. Everyone wants to buy me something and treat me to drinks. I was like, what is this world? This is so different. So anyway, which is amazing. But what I'm trying to say is I'm kind of going back to my Filipino roots right now. It's going to be my birthday tomorrow. And what I would love to do is for this episode to be a gift. I want this to be an episode that gives to my friends, to people who are struggling, because it's not easy. But the thing is, oh my gosh, and I'm tearing up. So hello. But the thing is, there's so much hope. And although hope is not like a tangible thing, it's not like a tangible thing that like, if I just hope all of a sudden my money will increase. No, it's not that. Not at all. But there's a lot of hope, and I know that there are a lot of creative ways that we can tap into during this time, so we can grow creatively, we can grow mentally, we can grow emotionally, in every way. Physically, I've seen so many crazy, like, I've been challenged so many times for abs, push-ups, everything. I don't even know what else. And I don't even have time to get to it because I've been busy doing this podcast. But anyway, I'm rambling now. Let me now go back to the point. So, I have always loved the arts. Growing up, I have always believed in things like pursue the things you're passionate about, follow your dreams, give up everything so you can do the thing that you love to do. And yes, I have done all this. But somewhere in the back of my mind, I have always had this sobering thought that what if something happens to my body and all of a sudden I can't move, which means I can't dance? What if, I mean, obviously, I'd probably, I'd like to think that I'm resourceful and I would probably find something else to do, and I would probably find joy in it, which is great. But what if I actually get ill, right? Like perhaps terminally ill, really, really sick, can't do anything sick? If something like that happens to me, what would happen to my finances? Who's going to take care of me? What am I going to do for work? Because if I can't work, if I'm ill, what am I going to do? And in a sense, not that we're terminally ill, not that we're, broken or something happened to us, accident, whatnot. But the thing is, that could happen at any time. Literally at any time, life comes at you by surprise, and you don't know if all of a sudden tomorrow we get diagnosed with something horrible, right? And it's a very sobering thought for someone who, I was 21 at that time and I had just moved to LA, and I've always wanted to become a dancer. And that's what I intended to do. And that's what I've done. But even at that young age, I've always had that thought. And perhaps it's because when I was growing up, I've always seen my mom and my dad struggle to provide for their family. My mom, she's one of 9 children in her family. She grew up with an alcoholic father, and she was the one who basically, for some reason, she's the one who really stepped up to the plate and, to put food on the table. She is the one that paid a lot of money for all her siblings to go to school so that they can get education, so that they can go and make a future for themselves. My dad, growing up, I also saw him always sending money home to the Philippines. In fact, actually, my mom and my dad left the Philippines when I was only 7, and my brother was barely even a year old, and they went to the States to try to get more income to send home to the Philippines. What I saw was them struggling so much, them sacrificing so much so that they can provide financially for the family, right? Because finances are important. But then there's this thing of like, they missed out on us. They missed out. We missed out on them. We missed out on growing up with parents. And what I saw was my parents basically exchanging their life energy for money. And did they have fun while they were here in the States? I'm sure they did. But what would it look like actually if you really were able to live life instead of just making a living? What would that look like? So I've really carried that question with me for a very long time. What would it look like if I really fully lived and I'm not worried anymore about how to make a living, how to earn income, right? And I recently read this book called Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin. Incredible book. It wasn't until I read that book very recently that I realized that I could pinpoint now exactly what I was feeling back when I was 21. Her book is basically talking about how every single time we work to earn income, even if it's something that we love to do, like a lot of my friends are actors, dancers, they love what they do. I see how successful they are. People in the stunt world, some of them are really, really successful and they love what they do, and it's amazing. I am so happy and so proud of them to be able to just do what they love to do, right? But no matter what it is, whether it's something that you're dragging your feet to go to work for, or you love what you're doing every single day and you wake up and you go on set and you love it, whatever that is, you're basically, in its most basic form, you are exchanging your life's energy for money, for income, right? So think of it as a ticking time bomb. Like we're a ticking time bomb. We have a very finite amount of time that we're here on Earth. And every single time we are giving our energy into something, that ticking time bomb is chipping away. And at some point it will burst and then we're done, right? So finite amount of time. So with that in mind, as I went along with my journey as a dancer, with that in mind, I always knew that no matter how good I am, no matter how hard I work, at some point, I have to figure out a way to be able to make money without having to exchange my energy per se to get that income. You know, passive income is what I'm talking about, which I'm going to dig a little bit more deeper in a little bit. But basically, you know, what would that look like if we don't have to exchange our life's energy for income? And that is why I've worked so hard. You know, as I went through the years, I worked very, very hard to help my husband with we were a team. We put in our finances together, and we made sure to get rid of $80,000 in debt, from car loans to student loans to consumer debt, because I did not want to get tied to debt. I did not want to have any of that on my name. I worked very hard. We both worked very hard to be able to purchase a home that can provide a place for our family, and not just a home for our family, but we were very smart about purchasing a home that could have some rental income that would help us pay for our mortgage. So we're actually mortgage free right now. Like we're technically not paying mortgage out of our pocket because the rental income is helping us pay for that mortgage. And then we multiplied that. We bought a couple more investment properties because we knew that if we were to have some passive income, we would somehow be able to earn passively instead of exchanging our life's energy for that, right? I guess I've developed over the years really how to budget, really how to live minimally, you know, living under below my means, being able to save and all these things. So I've really studied money and how it works and the system that we're playing in. So with building wealth, there's two things. There's money, which in and of itself, if you look at money, the paper bill, right? $100 bill, a dollar bill, doesn't matter. If you look at it, it actually intrinsically on its own, it does not have any value. But then there's the system that we're in and how we operate. That's the thing that gives money the value. So with money, there's two things, money and the system. I'm going to talk about money first, okay? With money, there are two things that I guess, want to qualify money as, is the quantitative quality of it and then the qualitative quality of it. Doesn't make sense right now, but I promise you it will. Okay. So quantitative to me is basically how much resources do you have to be able to support yourself and your family. That's quantitative. You can say it, you can define an amount. You know, what is that quantity that allows you to say, wow, I have the resources to be able to support me and my family. Qualitative is a question of what is enough. What is enough for you? Because what's enough for you might not be enough for someone else, and what's enough for them might not be enough for you. And so it's understanding what the value of enough means to you and how that can be different from everyone across the board. But you need to know that for yourself, because if you don't know what enough means, you could literally go work yourself to the ground just trying to accumulate income, trying to accumulate wealth, but you're never going to have enough because you don't know what enough means. So again, quantitative, which is how much do you need, or how much money do you have as resources to provide for your family, and qualitative, what is enough? How much is enough for you? So let's break this down even more, okay? On the quantitative side, with money, there's three things that we can do to build wealth. We need to earn, we need to save, we need to invest. So just think of it that way. Very, very easy. Earn, save, invest. In fact, I would refer you to a website called earnesimoney.com. It's basically earn, save, invest. It's a great resource to kind of understand this. One of our guests, Cody Berman, he's also got a really good website. It's called flytofy.com. don't mean to plug all these things, but I am meaning to plug these things because these things are resources. And mind you, I don't get paid anything to advertise these, sites and whatnot. I just know that these are great resources for you guys to check out. So check those out. But anyway, with money on the quantitative side, there's earning, there's saving, there's investing. Here's the thing: you could save all you want, but if you don't earn a lot, you're not really going to move the needle. Okay. Now, you can also earn as much as you want. However, if you don't know how to save, you can work yourself till your dying breath and you will not have anything because you don't know how to save. Okay. And then there's the part of saving where do you put your money? Where do you save? Because if you're just saying save, put it in a bank account, most bank accounts give you 0.01 interest rate on the money that you park in their bank. That is crazy. Like literally you won't make anything. You will not make anything out of the money that you put on there. No matter how huge the amount you put in your savings account, if it's earning you 0.01 interest rate, it's not going to go anywhere. Later on, as you listen more, I will be sharing with you a bank account that I use that gives you 4% interest rate, which is amazing, 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 amazing. Anyway, and so you've earned, you've saved. You also need to invest. If you don't invest, your money is not going to grow. It just won't. So again, earning, saving, and investing, you have to do 3 to be able to build wealth. So we keep going deeper, right? Let's break this down even more, okay? With earning, there are 2 ways to earn money. There's earning actively and earning passively. Actively is basically what we've already said, is that you are literally exchanging your life's energy to be able to earn a salary. Okay, whether that's you're a regular employee or you're a 1099 freelance, it doesn't matter. You're exchanging your life's energy to be able to earn something. Passive is when you've put some time in to be able to build something so that no matter if you don't put your time on it, if you don't put your attention on it, it's actually generating you passive income that's coming in solid every single month. I don't know about you, but that's where I want to be. I want to be in a place where I don't have to worry. I have a bunch of investments and income streams that I have built so that I can just receive my passive income every single month. And it's not because I'm lazy, and it's not because I don't want to work. And in fact, oh my gosh, I love to work. I love, 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 love to work. It doesn't matter what I do. I just love putting my hands into something. And so it's not that I don't want to work. It's just that I want to get to a place where literally everything that I work on is just all my passion projects. I have a lot of passion projects. So I like, this podcast is a passion project. Gosh, it's crazy. This podcast is not cheap to produce. It is not. Like, of course, like, you can do it cheaply, but even no matter how cheaply you can do things, it will still cost something, So for me, this podcast is a passion project, but how many of these passion projects can I do? That's always what I think about, and so that's where I would like to be someday, is that I can literally just have passive income coming in without me having to put my energy and time into it. So let's go back to active income. For the most part, all across the board in America and around the world, active income is when you go to a job, right? And you get paid. You go there 9 to 5 and you get paid, and that's your salary. Okay. For entertainers, I want to break this down a little bit, okay? Because I really want us to see the numbers. I want us to see the numbers, because until we see the numbers, all of this is frou-frou theoretical if we don't put the numbers down. So let's do a fun exercise here. I average about 2 auditions a week, sometimes more, sometimes less, but for the most part, about 2 a week. It takes me about an hour and a half to go back and forth driving to my audition. Let's say it's in Santa Monica. It took me about an hour to get ready. I always want to get there about 30 minutes earlier, just so I can account for looking for parking and situating myself before the audition. And then the audition itself took about 15 minutes. Total time it took me to go to this audition is 3 hours and 15 minutes. Multiply that by 2, because that week I went to 2 auditions. So if I don't book the job, that just goes to the mystery world. Why did I not get the job? What did I do to ruin my chances? What could I have done better? Should my hair have been black and not red? Because, Filipinos with red hair is very confusing to casting directors. They want Filipino women who look like Filipino women, not Filipino women who look, what do you call this? Edgy. So anyway, that's another rant, but I'm not even going to go there because there's no use to going there anymore. What I'm trying to say is that if I don't get that job, I just exchanged about 7 hours of my life for nothing. And I understand it's not always for nothing because there's always good things that could come out by going to auditions and you meet different people and you network, and there's a lot of good things that could come out of it. But if I don't get it, then, I spent 7 hours and I don't earn anything. If I get it, let's say on the very, very low end, I get paid $5,000 for that job. For me to work that job, it's going to take me 1 8-hour day of filming, sometimes more, sometimes less, but average about 8 hours. One more day of fitting. Let's say the fitting was about 2 hours. The round trip drives that you had to take to go to this location on each day for the job itself and then for the fitting day, plus the amount of time it took you to audition for this job, it would be about a total of 18 hours. If I got paid $5,000 minus a 30% in taxes, that's going now in my pocket $3,500. $3,500 divided by 18 is about $190 something. Okay, so now you're getting paid $190 something per hour, which is, wow, amazing. Who's getting paid $190 something per hour? I would love to get paid $190 something per hour every single day, every single hour. That would be awesome. But I did not account the fact that it took me 2 auditions to book one job. Yeah, they're 2 different jobs, but it took 2 auditions. So I have a 50% booking success rate right there. So if I count that, now it's going to add about now it's going to be a total of 21 hours and about 30 minutes. $3,500 divided by 20 hours and 30 minutes is now going to give me about 160 something dollars per hour. So still good, still not bad. But what if your booking success rate is not 50%? Because for most of us, it's not going to be like that. For most of us, it's 10 auditions and you book one job. That's like a 1% success rate, which is, so sad, so crazy. But that is the world that we live in, So do you really love doing this? I could tell you this much. I do. I really, really do. So I don't, I exchange my life's energy for this. Yes, I do, because I love doing it. But I have also built some passive income streams to be able to support this venture of mine into the entertainment world. So that's a little bit different, right? Like I'm not always going to be so stressed trying to book a job because I know that something is coming in every single month, whether or not I get this job. But let's now go back to those numbers where your booking rate is 1%. So that $3,500 is now going to equal to about $70 per hour that you're getting paid. Why 70? Well, remember that each audition is going to take about 3 hours and 15 minutes of your day. So multiply that by 10, okay? And then plus the amount of time it took for you to work that job. Remember the 1 8-hour day, the 1 day of fitting, and then the driving time during those 2 days. You add all that in and you're about 47.5 hours work total, and you're getting paid 3,500 divided by 47.5, and now you're down to about 70 something dollars per hour. Again, not bad. Like getting paid $70 per hour is not a bad deal. But did you account LA Casting Profile membership? Did you account the headshots that you took? Did you account the training that it took for you to be ready to audition and to be ready to get to this job? Did you account Kat, the red hair that you color every 3 months? Did you account for the fact that I had to buy a black wig so that when I go to some auditions, I look like a regular Filipino woman? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying all of this to go down the rabbit hole of like, wow, I'm not making any money. It's not, that's not the point. The point is, I think we really need to understand the energy that we put out into the world to try to earn income and to make a living. How much are we really making? And of course, there's a lot of us also in the entertainment industry who's really making good money. You know, one day of filming can be $1,000 or more, and that's amazing. That is so great. And then you book a movie. There could be residual income, which is now passive income. This is all so awesome. However, again, you have to really put into perspective that how much work did it take you to book that one job? You know, did you account for your training? Did you account for all the classes that you had to take? Did you account for all the materials that you had to pay for to be able to get this job? You know, for stunt people, did you account for all the pads and the equipment and everything? And we could do the same exercise for people who have a regular 9 to 5 job. You know, I think what matters here is that we understand what is it that we are exchanging our life energy for, and how much are we actually making for every single hour that we exchange our energy for, whether that's work that we love to do, and especially if it's work that we don't love to do. But what I would like to point out is that anything passive in the beginning has to take some time to grow. It also needs your life's energy, but it's different because when you know that at some point you can be hands off and still make income out of it, there's a little bit of this whole, wow, well, that's worth it to me. It's worth it for me to put crazy amount of hours right now into this thing because I know that at some point I can say, boom, I'm done. Let me just now sit down. Again, not going to sit down because I love to work, but I'm just saying there's a little bit of this, yes, let's do this, because at some point it's just going to generate money by itself on its own. That's what passive income is. So let's talk a little bit about passive income. I'm not going to go too deep into it because there's so many different ways that you could earn passive income, from rental income to your investments to your YouTube channel. If you have a ton of subscribers, to your blogs with affiliate links and all of that. There's so many other different ways. So I want to go back to things that we could do right now to have some income streams going at this time when we're at home and we're not able to go and do our entertaining thing as a performer. I also made sure that these things that I put together are things that we could do safely in our home. And a lot of them, you're going to need to do a little bit more research on it because I'm going to tap into them on the surface level. But I did put together a PDF link that you can download and you can look into it a little bit more and you can study it and see if it's something that would work for you at this time. Here are a few things that you can do. You can be an online proofreader or editor. There's a lot of sites out there that need help proofreading their content. You can self-publish your own children's books. You can illustrate it yourself and write it yourself and self-publish it and sell it online. You can be a freelance writer. There's a lot of blogs and sites out there that need writers, and so you can go ahead and contact them and see if they need help at this time. You can be a standardized test question writer, especially if you have a niche or an expertise in a particular subject. You can be a standardized test question writer and you'll actually get paid a little bit more if you have a little bit of a niche on a certain topic or a subject. You can write reviews. There are sites out there that do pay you to write reviews for them. You can sell your printables on Etsy. That is something that you can do if you have some artwork. That's something that is safe and also creative for you to be able to do, especially during this time for us creatives. You can be an online design site builder for a lot of people out there who love, building sites, or maybe you don't love it yet, but maybe it's something that you've always wanted to learn. Maybe learn it right now and then market your skills. You can put your skills and whatever it is that you have to offer on Fiverr or on Upwork. These are sites where you can advertise what you can do for other people, and people will pay for your services through these sites. You can create logos and businesses, or maybe content branding with different companies. If you're a really great marketer and you know products and all these things, you can do that as well. You can be a content creator and write your own ebook. If there's a niche or a subject that you have a really unique perspective on, or a skill that you can translate into words that people may want to learn about, you can totally write an ebook. It's actually pretty easy to write an ebook and publish it yourself. You can make frozen meals and talk to some of your friends or neighbors who are home right now and hate cooking and don't love to cook or don't know how to cook. You can actually bulk cook frozen meals and you can deliver it to them. You can practice, just safe sanitary ways to be able to deliver it to them and still be safe and do the social distancing thing. You can be a patent researcher. You can also be a VA. VA meaning you can be a virtual assistant. If for those of you that don't know what that term VA means, a virtual assistant who can do a whole lot of things, whether that's QuickBooks or database or research, whatever that may be, you can be a VA. You can sell your used books. There's a site out there, and I'm going to include it on my links, of a site that can show you what places will pay you the most for the book that you're wanting to sell. You can be a customer support agent. And I know that that is such boring work sometimes, but in this time, sometimes work is just work. And sometimes we just need to just do something to be able to earn some income at this time. So customer agent, if you have good customer or people skills, that's a great job for you to do. You can do paid surveys. Actually, I have done this once. I actually got paid $300 for 2 hours of my time to fill out a survey. And the greatest thing about it is that I was just at home. So I didn't even have to go anywhere and drive and get ready. I was just at home getting paid $300 for 2 hours of work, which translated to $150 an hour, which is great. You can make sure when you are shopping online at this time, if you don't want to go into stores, make sure that you go to a cashback site before you go shopping. Rakuten is a great cashback site. It used to be Ebates. I've used them for years and I've gotten cashbacks every quarter. It's great. You can also rent your car. At this time, when we're all home, there are still people out there who need to get to their jobs, healthcare workers, government officials. Some of them may not have cars, and some of them may not want to use public transportation, whether that's bus or Uber, because health-wise. So you could probably rent your car to some people right now who want to have their own car, but they don't have their own car, so that they can still go to their jobs safely without being in a public transportation. You can also sell your unused gift cards. If you have some gift cards laying around that you'll never use, there's actually a site out there that you can advertise your gift cards and they will pay a portion of your gift card's value so that you can get rid of them. You can also go to FOP. You can sell your videos or your photos. If you have some really great photos and videos, and you don't even have to be professional, it can be taken by your iPhone. If you upload your photos on FOP, FOAP, they will pay you a portion of what other people are going to pay them for when they use your photos. So sometimes these big companies, they don't really have the time to necessarily hire photographers to do professional work for them. So they would go to this site like FOP, and they would grab photos from there and they would pay FOP, and in turn FOP will pay you a portion of what they got. So again, these are just few things. This list is, of course, not all of the things that we could do right now, but what I'm trying to say is these are some resources that you could check into and look into, and some of them may interest you more than the others, but the point is there are still things that we could do at this time. We don't have to sit and not work, because there is work out there. So we are done with the earning part. Let's go to the savings part. Savings, well, let's just say when you earn money, you can't just put it underneath your mattress. You have to park it somewhere. You have to park it in a bank. You have to put it somewhere, or else if you put it in the mattress, I don't know. Let's not go there. It's just not good. So for the most part, a lot of us don't really take the time to figure out where we're putting our money. We just think, hey, big banks, Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, those are the good places to put your money, right? Because they're the ones that are advertised the most. They're the ones that are most accessible. But no, they're actually not the best places to put your money. They're great banks for other reasons, but definitely not to grow your money, you know? So those banks give you 0.01% interest rate on the money that you park there. What if I tell you that there is a bank that gives you 4% interest rate? It's called Tab Bank. It is Transportation Alliance Bank. It is based out of Utah. It is an online bank. And from $1 to up to $50,000, they give you 4% interest rate on the money that you put there. After $50,000, I think it's about 1 point something percent interest rate. Don't really quote me on that because I am only concerned about the 4% that my money is getting from $1 to $50,000. It is a checking account. It's not a savings account. Oh, and they have requirements. They have requirements, but the requirements are very, very minimal for me personally. The requirements are, number one, you have to have one direct deposit into it once a month or an ACH transfer into it once a month. So what I do is I still have my Chase account. My money usually goes to my Chase account, but then as soon as my money gets there, I transfer it into my Tab Bank. So there goes my one transaction every single month that is a transfer. So that meets that requirement. The second requirement they have is for you to have at least 15 debit card transactions of at least $5 each. I know from my friends out there who love points and rewards and all the stuff, this is like, I don't want to use my debit card because I'm going to lose out on my credit card points, which is true. Very, very true. Very valid because I love my credit card points as well. However, I literally go into a grocery store and I use the self-checkout. And at the self-checkout, yes, I am that one annoying person that takes forever, but it's because I want to get my 4% interest rate on my money. So I go over to the grocery store, self-checkout, and instead of paying for my entire purchase all at once, I say, hey, here's the pasta and here's the pasta sauce. And I think that's $5 each. I pay for that. That's $5 transaction. That's one transaction. Okay, here's my chicken and here is my chicken stuff that goes with it. That's $5. That's one transaction. Transaction number two. Here's my ice cream and here's my milkshake, and I pay for that because that's another $5 transaction. That's transaction number three. I know that is such a pain, and believe me, it gives me anxiety a little bit when I'm at the grocery store and people are staring at me, but it's okay because they don't know what I'm doing with my money, and well, all that I'm doing is I'm just trying to get my 4% interest rate on my money that's parking at the bank. But to put this into context, let's say you have $10,000 minimum average daily balance in your bank. That $10,000 with your 4% interest with Tab Bank, they're basically going to equal to $33 a month or about $400 a month in interest. So that's $400 a month in free money. If you put it in a 0.01 bank account, that $10,000 that you put there in a year, you're going to get $1 back. So would you rather get $1 free money or would you rather get $400 free money? I don't know about you, but I would rather get $400 in free money from my bank account. So yes, I will stand there in line and I will separate my transactions at the grocery store so I can meet the minimum 15 transactions of $5 each just so I could get my 4% interest. I think it's worth it. But enough about that, because all that I wanted to kind of share is really just try to find ways to make money work for you. Don't work for your money. Make your money work for you and be smart about it. So that's just the part about where to put your money, the practicality of things. The behavioral part, which is now how much do I save? How do I save? And all these things. Now that is up to you. Now that is something that you have to develop on your own, because I could tell you so many things and so many ways to save and systems and all this stuff, but until you grab a hold of it on your own, it's not really going to stick. So I would encourage my listeners to really figure out, again, the qualitative side of money, right? How much enough is enough for you? And once you know what that is, it's going to be easier to approach savings because now you understand your why. Now you understand, the deeper meaning of why you're doing this. So we're down to our third part of building wealth. We tackled earning, we tackled saving, and now we're down to investments. As far as investments goes, I am not going to go into the rabbit hole of this because there's a lot of things that we could invest our money into. I would just want to kind of basically expand my listeners' mind. If some of my listeners still don't know about the compound interest and the rule of 72, that's what I want to tap into, and for you to really understand the power of investing. So 72, rule of 72 is something that was invented by Einstein, and it's basically compound interest. And he said that it is one of the most powerful force in the universe. One of the most, or actually the most powerful force in the universe. Wow. Anyway, what that means is take the number 72 and divide that by their average rate of return. That will determine the amount of years it will take for you to double your money. So historically, there's a 7% rate of return from the stock market. That's just kind of like historically, whether it goes up and down, that's the average. Okay. So take 72 divided by 7. That is equal to about 10 point something. Let's just call it 10 to make it easy for our brains. It will take you basically 10 years to double your money, whatever money you put in there into your investment, right? So let's say at age 25, you were very, very financially savvy and you really were intentional about saving. So by the time you were age 25, you have already $50,000 in your savings account. By the time you become 35 years old, that $50,000 will double. So that is now 100. By the time you become 45, that 100 will double now to 200. By the time you become 55, that 200 will double to 400. By the time you become 65, that 400 will double to 800. By the time you're 75, that 800 will double to $1.6 million. Wow. $1.6 million by the time you're 75. Of course, I would like to have access to that money before. But what I'm trying to show here is the power of compound interest. If you put that money, that $50,000 initial savings into a regular 0.01 interest rate account, by the time you're 75, you would have only made $250 more. So your investment, total investment, would be $50,250. How is that compared to $1.6 million? I have no words. Like, why would we put our money into a regular account when we can let the power of compound interest help us out massively? It's not even just like a little step up. It's like a huge step up. You know what I mean? So that is the power in investing. And if you think it's too late, it's not too late. You can always start right now. What I'm trying to say is you have to start though. You have to start. If you don't start, your money will never grow. It just won't. You're forever going to work so hard to earn income. Again, as I said, make money work for you. Don't work for money. And yes, the stock market goes up and down. Index funds, everything, all the stuff, it goes up and down. Here's the thing. What goes up must come down. What goes down must come up. Okay? Historically, really, on the average, it is a very safe investment place. I am not putting all my eggs in one basket. This is just me. I don't put all my money in my index target date funds and all that stuff. However, it is a really powerful tool to use. So yes, diversify, but yes, please use it because it is such a great tool to be able to use this thing that can help you. And we can argue that it goes down and it's scary, and especially in this time right now, it's very scary. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fear of losing is so great that we cannot see the excitement of gaining something. We have to get past that fear. We have to get past that fear because if we don't, we're never going to gain. We're never going to gain anything. Because again, there's this thing that we call money, which again, in and of itself has no value. But the system that we are operating in, it is what puts value to money. And I'm not even going to go down what that system is. But what I'm trying to say is that if we learn how money works in the system that it works in, we will understand how to use it, how to make it work for us, and how to build wealth. Because the system also includes all the crazy tax laws, which is literally a minefield. You do one thing, and over here is a different law on this state. On if you live in this state, it's different. If you are investing in this particular type of account, it's different. It's so crazy. But if you can figure out a way to study some of it, it will help you tremendously, because it's not even just about what kind of money you're making. It's also about what kind of money you're actually getting to keep at the end of the day. Because taxes, death and taxes are the two very, very certain things that happen to us in our life. So if we know how to navigate through the tax laws legally, by the way, but there's definitely ways to navigate around it legally, where you can lower your tax bracket and the taxes that you have to pay, and then knowing, again, just knowing how money works, that's going to help you build wealth. So now we are down to our qualitative side of money. How much is enough? I've really thought about this a lot and really trying to develop my own perspective on this. I read a book called Millionaire Fast Lane by MJ DeMarco. Amazing book, one of the best books I've ever read. He talks about good money, great money, and legendary money. So, what is good money to you? Maybe that's $5,000 in passive income every single month. What is great money? Maybe that is $20,000 in passive income every single month. What is legendary money? Maybe that's literally never having to worry and never, ever, ever having to work again. But money is just coming in every single month for you to be able to absolutely pursue every single passion project that you want to do in life. And that's what I want. That is what I want. I want legendary money. Not because, again, I don't want to work, but because I have so many passion projects that are burning in my heart. I've always grown up thinking about all the people that need help around my life personally, but also just all the people that just need help generally. Like, I ask myself questions like, what would that look like if I had so much crazy income that every single time there is a natural calamity here nationally in the States or internationally all over the world, I have the resources to be able to deploy the financial support that they need to be able to rebuild their communities, or be able to deploy people and pay people to be able to serve them, to help them rebuild their life. What would it look like if I have so much money that I'm able to build enormous amount of wells in South Africa so that there's a better access to clean water? What would it look like if I had the financial means to be able to build my own school, and not like my way of teaching kids education, but but having like a different system that is not just about knowledge based, but about really experiential based. Like, what if we taught our kids how to handle money at such a very young age, that they experience what it's like to invest, that they experience what it's like to lose money on their investments? What would that look like? What if I had so much money that for every single person out there that pays for a child to be a sex slave, what if I have money to be able to deploy the resources to rescue every single child out there so that they don't have to go through that, and that they can actually have a better future for themselves? What would that look like? Like, these are literally things that my friend Jamie, and I'm gonna give her a shout out right now. She said, "Yeah, I want to have baller-ish money, like baller status money, not because of like the fancy cars and all the stuff." And again, if you love that, it is absolutely okay to love those things, because I don't want to shame people who love material things like that, because they do give you a certain amount of happiness. They do. But to be able to have this massive amount of wealth that you can literally make such a huge impact on people's lives, on a global scale, what would that look like? I understand that every single one of us, no matter where we're at financially, we can give $1, we can give $5, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it is your heart that is serving and that is generous. It is not about the amount that you give, it is about your heart position that makes it real. So I understand that part because I come from a place where I didn't have much, but even when I didn't have much, I always found ways to give. But what if, again, these are just what ifs, what if I just have this crazy amount of wealth that I can literally make a huge, massive impact globally, internationally, everything in a huge scale? That's what I think about, you know, because to be honest, again, what is enough? There's so many wealthy people out there who feel very, very poor. They have so much money, but they are so scared to death of losing it, right? And then there's so many people out there who have nothing, 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 but they feel like they are the most wealthy people in the entire world. So it's about your perspective, it's about your mindset. It is not about really what you have. That is the qualitative side of money. What is enough for you? And do you feel wealthy right now? Like where you're at, do you feel wealthy? Because there are really a lot of things that are way more important than money. There's so much more in life than money. But if you don't get the money piece right, it could literally ruin your life. I mean, think about it. Money is like one of the biggest issues in marriages between two people, not just in marriages, but partnerships. Money is a huge issue. If you don't get your money piece right, you will literally spend your entire life chasing dollars. You will literally spend your entire life having to work, whether it's something that you love to do or hate. The point is, if you don't get it right, you're going to have to work for the rest of your life. And, the thing about money too is that if you get this right, later down the road, when down the road happens, because we all are going to age, we are all going to someday going to not be well in our health. As we age, we're going to need help, whether our family will take care of us or we are put in a nursing home, whatever that may look like, we're going to need care in our old age. So when our old age comes, did you set up your money piece so that by that time, when you get older, or again, even when you're not older, like now, like if something happens to you now, are you going to be a financial burden to your family around you? Or are you going to be financially stable? You've built your wealth enough to be able to take care of yourself so that you don't become a burden to others. If you get your money piece right, you literally become a solution. Like in this time right now where jobs are cut back, people are struggling to pay rent and all the stuff. My husband and I are like, we're looking for ways to be a solution. And the reason why we can do that, and this is not being cocky, but it literally is just a realization that we have built our money piece right. Because when times like this happens, we want to be there for our families and our friends that need us. We want to be a support. We want to be a solution. We don't want to be a burden. So I encourage my listeners, get your money piece right so that you don't become a burden to your loved ones and to your friends down the road. So let's get to some practical things now that we can do right now at this very moment. Because let's think longevity here. If for whatever reason this becomes an extended time, we're thinking what, like maybe 2 more weeks of this, a week, maybe till the end of April. I don't know. I've heard other people say, oh yeah, it's going to go long. I've heard other people say, no, it's only going to go for a week, all these things. Whether that's a week or until the end of this year or somewhere in between, what matters is that you are doing something now, practical things that you can do right now to help your situation. Number 1, establish a routine. I know it may be like again, 2 weeks, 1 week, we don't know, but establish a routine. We're not on a vacation. We're not. Wake up in the morning, make your bed, Do your reading, do your breathing exercise, whatever it is that you do in the morning, exercise, establish a routine. Don't let time fly away from your hand just because all of a sudden everybody is home and it seems like, whoa, it's a party at the house. It's not a party at the house right now. This is a time to focus. And yes, let's spend time with our family because now we're being forced to. But let us still set boundaries. Let us still set a routine so that the craziness of, I don't have kids, but I know there's so many people out there that are struggling with like having kids 24/7 right now. But somehow in all of this, try to establish a routine where you can have some time for yourself to develop your own self. Because guess what? The capacity that you can serve other people is determined by the ability for you to be able to grow yourself from the inside out. You can't continue serving other people if you have nothing to give. You can only truly give with joy if you're able to develop your own personal growth first. So establish a routine. That's number one. Number two, look at your expenses. Realistically, if we were to go down to the bare minimum, how much do we really need to be able to cover all the necessities, such as your shelter, our food, and our clothing? What is that number? Get down to the basics. Number three, look at your spending habits. What are the things that you spend the most on and that you can actually go without? I mean, yeah, nowadays can't really just eat out a lot, but there are probably still other things that we are always purchasing. So look at your past expenses and just see what are the things you're spending on that you really don't need to. Number four, look at the little foxes that spoil the vine. What I'm saying is the small bills that keeps getting charged automatically into your accounts that probably in the past you're like, well, that's small, that's like $4, that's an app, this one's a $2.99 game. uh Maybe some of them are monthly, maybe some of them are one-time charges, and you just never take the time to look into these things because you got busy. But now that we are forced to stay home and we have a little bit of time on our hands, this is the perfect time to look at those little foxes. Okay, it's the little foxes that spoil the vine, not the big ones. Number five, if you own a home, call your bank and ask for a grace period. And anyone you owe money to, call them, ask if you can have a grace period. And please only do this if you absolutely cannot pay. If you can pay, please pay, because it helps our economy keep afloat. Number six, check all your bills and make a few phone calls to see if you can lower your phone bill, see if you can lower your internet bill, your insurance bill. Generally, I do this actually once a year. I do this at the beginning of each year. I'm always calling all the companies that I owe my utilities and monthly things to, and I just ask, hey, is my bill going to be the same this year, or can I lower it? So that's one thing you could do right now. That's a practical thing that you can do. Number seven, if you have any assets like a house that has appreciated in value, see if you can get a HELOC on your house. It is a home equity line of credit. It is a great way to get some access to liquid cash, and you will generally only, for most HELOCs, you will only get charged the interest rate if you actually access that cash. But if you just keep that cash there, you won't have to pay interest rate on it. But it is good to have in case you need access to liquid cash. This is a good time to get a HELOC, and get it now, because we don't know how it's going to be, a month down the road. So try to get it now. If you have businesses, also try to get a line of credit on your business. Again, I am not a proponent for using credit cards unless you are able to pay it off every single month. But again, in times like these, you just want to have access to liquid cash. And if you can get a business credit, get one right now. What else? I think that is it. That is all that my what do you call it? My practical tips for this time that you can do to help your finances and to help set you up on a path to success. So far, I have basically shared all the practical, tangible things that surround this idea of building wealth, right? I would absolutely do you a disservice if I don't tackle the spiritual side of things, just generally, but also especially right now in this time that we are facing. When it comes to the spiritual stuff, there's this thing that we call sowing. When it comes to sowing, I see two very distinct and different things that is related to sowing. One is giving and one is planting. So giving and planting. And this is something that I actually personally heard this week from Bill Johnson. He's the pastor of Bethel Church, an amazing church that I love tuning into. It was so profound. And I took the time this week to really think about it and just realize that, wow, this is a time of both giving and planting. I'm gonna talk about planting first. Okay. There's a story in Genesis 28, about Isaac, where there's a famine in the land. Really, really crazy famine in the land. And back in the Bible days, when they say famine, like literally hunger. The thing that we're going through right now, I don't know if it's comparable to what they were going through in that time, but it sure is. I think in some way, shape, or form it is. But anyway, that aside, this famine in the land was because, like, literally the crops were dried out. There's like nothing growing, nothing happening, and Isaac has the ability or to choose between eating the seed that he's got right now or planting it. Yeah, he planted it, and then that same year he reaped 100-fold. I think what is important to note here is that he planted it in his own soil, not in other people's soil. He planted it in his own soil. It's important to note that, because what he did was he actually made a business decision. He invested in himself. He planted seed in his own soil that reaped 100-fold in that same year. In a sense, he invested in his own personal development because he knew that he still has a hope in a future, that when this famine, throughout the famine, and when it ends, he is going to reap a harvest. And it's important to note that in this time, what can we do for ourselves that we can plant into? What can we do to further develop our skills, further develop the things that we are putting our hands to? Maybe it's taking an online course right now where it is difficult to pay for anything right now, especially when work is not guaranteed. But what if by learning a new skill right now, what if by purchasing a course, whatever that may be, whatever that could look like for you, it's actually going to give you 100-fold at the end because you develop something new. The thing is, in the time of famine, the thing that comes alive is when you actually put something into the ground so that God can actually breathe life into it. You have to give God something to breathe life into. It's like the saying that says, I reap in tears what I will harvest in joy later. And Bill was basically sharing a story about these African women where they would have their babies strapped to their backs and they would plant the seeds on the ground. And they're crying as they plant the seeds because at that very moment, they know that they could use that seed right now to eat, to feed their family. But if they use that right now and don't plant it, that's the end of it. They'll have nothing else to eat after that. But if they sow it in tears, knowing that right now it's a sacrifice, I have to give up this seed. I should really eat this right now, but I have to give up this seed so that if I plant it, it's going to reap 100-fold later. And later on, I'm going to reap it, harvest it in joy, and it will feed my family for days, for weeks, for months. That's a sacrifice. So ask yourself right now, whatever it is that you are involved in, what is it that you can do to further your growth as an entrepreneur, as an artist, as, again, whatever it is that you do right now? Maybe it's not even in what you do regularly if none of this had happened, but maybe it's something new. Maybe it's completely something left field that had this not happened, that door would not have been open to you. So explore that. Invest in yourself. Believe that you have a hope in a future and invest in yourself. And then there's the giving part. In times of craziness, especially when you don't know if you're going to be able to pay your rent next month, in my case, in Lee and I's case, We don't know if our tenants are going to be able to pay us next month. And if they don't, we're going to have to shoulder the mortgage payment. Thankfully, we have some emergency savings funds that are set aside. But what if this goes for another 3 months? Is our emergency savings fund going to last us? So when there's a time of need, giving is probably the last thing that you want to do, especially when we definitely want to take care of ourselves first, right? But the sacrifice of giving in the spiritual realm does something unimaginable that is crazy. It opens the floodgates of literally heaven to be able to bless you. And I know this sounds so crazy and it sounds so frou-frou and spiritual and all the stuff. And you don't have to even believe everything, that I'm saying. But I'm telling you, maybe try it, because you don't know what could come out of it, In this time, if there is someone in need and you're able to step in and help, please help. This is really a time of renewing and refreshing our relationships with our family, with each other. And this is a time where we really should adjust and accommodate those who are suffering. And this is a time where we have to give not just out of compassion, but out of honor. What I mean by that is there's this story in the Bible, in the book of Acts, where there was a famine again in the land. There's a lot of famines in the Bible, y'all. Oh, man. There's this story of a famine, and people took up an offering and they gave it to this particular city that needed help because they had a famine. But they gave not just out of compassion, and it was out of honor, because there were some leaders in that particular city that had served the people very, very well. And so they gave into that city because of these leaders. So they were giving out of honor and not just out of compassion. Compassion is great, but because they gave from a place of honor, it literally shut up the famine, where in that particular land, the famine was never spoken of or ever heard of ever again. They never spoke of it ever again. It was as if the famine never happened in the first place. That is powerful to me. That is powerful. What if in this time we're able to give out of a place of compassion and honor in such a way that all these things that are happening right now, someday, it's like it never even happened. Never even happened. And we will never speak of it ever again, because there's this thing of power that happens when we are activated in compassion and in honor. So, all this to say, thank you for listening. This has been long. I really hope that you guys got some amazing stuff out of the practical things that I discussed when it comes to wealth, when it comes to money, the quantitative and qualitative thing about money. And more than anything, even though, whether you believe in God or not, I really, really, really hope that there's some value that you found in understanding what planting and what giving is to you in this time, because it's powerful. So I would encourage you to explore that. Thank you for listening. Tomorrow is my birthday. I am so excited. I'm just home, but I'm so excited. Again, Filipino culture, when it's your birthday, you're the one who gives gifts. And this is my gift. I really hope, I really, 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 really just hope that this somehow impacted your life and that this becomes a ripple effect. And because this impacts your life, you're able to share it to other people. And yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Hey everyone, I just want to make a little note and correction on the bank account that I had talked about during episode 2. Literally, as soon as I recorded that episode, I think a day or two later, I got an email from Tab Bank saying that they're actually adjusting their rates. As you know, banks definitely have their freedom and choice as to how they want to publish their rates. And it used to be 4% for the longest time. And because of the market and how it has dipped down a little bit, they are also also decreasing their interest rate to 3% APR, which is still really, really good, to be honest. Again, a lot of banks out there offer 0.01% with the big banks, and some better banks offer like 1.7 or 1.8, and still Tab Bank at 3% is the leading interest rate in the market today. So there's that. I hope you still find that valuable, and I hope you still explore them. Also, as a disclaimer, I do not get paid any advertising money for this. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I just really love to inform our listeners as to what products there are out there that you could use to help you step up your game with your financial literacy and your financial freedom. So there you go.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wildly Wealthy Life. We hope that this episode has helped you take another step towards living fully, giving freely, and building a legacy that deeply impacts your community. We'd love to hear what you think about today's show. Please leave us a review or like us on iTunes and YouTube, and click the subscribe button so you won't miss a show. You can also visit us at wildlywealthylife.com for today's show notes. See you on our next episode. Thank you, and may you live a wildly wealthy life.